Study with Ash. Today we are going to go over the concept of DNA replication. Although you do not need to know all about DNA replication, but you will be going over everything just to make sure that all your questions are covered. I am not going to cover a lot of introduction of this topic because this is a topic that most people have done in their pre-medical a lot, and it is quite covered in the when you're studying basic sciences in your med school. So I'm going to quickly go over the DNA replication. So basically, one DNA strand has to be replicated to another DNA strand, and this is required both in eukaryotes and prokaryotes. So what you need to do is that you need to remember that DNA synthesis takes place in the S phase, right? So the DNA replication is semi-conservative. So basically, for example, this is one strand and this is the other DNA strand. So two strands are parallel to each other. So this particular strand cannot be synthesized while they are together. So this strand, for example, this is strand A. You synthesize one strand against strand A and one against strand B. So the original strand contained both A and B, right? In the original. However, the new one contained part of A and the other new one contained part of B. So this is something that we need to remember, that DNA replication is semi-conservative. The second thing that you need to remember, that there are two strands, right? So for example, let me show you. So this is the origin of replication. I will be going over this. So there is one strand that is in 3' to 5' direction and one other strand in 5' to 3' direction. What you need to remember is that the strand that is 5' to 3' direction, you need to know that the DNA synthesis occurs from 5' to 3' direction. So that's the only direction that it will work. So this is the strand that will be completely synthesized in a continuous fashion by the DNA polymerase. So the other strand that is basically in 3' to 5' direction, you need to know that it is synthesized in a lagging way. So for example, there is one strand in this part that is synthesized. This is one fragment A. This is the other fragment, which is fragment B, and this is the other fragment, that is fragment C. This is because this 3' to 5', this is the 5' direction, so opposite it's supposed to be. It cannot be done in this direction, but rather it has to be done in this direction. So it is done in fragments rather than in a continuous. So these fragments are known as Okazaki fragments. These Okazaki fragments are formed and then later they are joined together. And this way another continuous strand is synthesized. So what you need to remember is the replication fork. So basically, how does the cell decides कि this is the part where I'm going to start replicating. So basically there are 80 rich sequences. Why do they select 80 rich sequences? That I have discussed in my previous videos, that adenine and thymine have a double bond between them. But other than that, between the cytosine and guanine, there are 3 hydrogen bonds. So it's easier to break the double bonds between adenine and thymine as compared to the triple bond between the cytosine and guanine, which is preferentially the DNA replication. The origin of DNA replication is essentially at the 80 rich sequences, also known as the Tata box regions, and are found in promoters, often upstream and origin of replication. You need to remember that promoters can be located anywhere, but these origin of replication these Tata boxes are often located upstream. Besides that, you need to remember that this is the particular consensus sequence in the genome where DNA replication begins, and may be single or multiple. So what you need to know is that in bacteria or eukaryotes, there is one replication site, which is the Tata box, whereas in eukaryotes there is multiple sites of origin. So this is what you need to remember. So once a DNA strand is basically unwind, for example, this is the DNA strand, this is together, this is unwound from here. If this is unwound from here, you need to remember that this makes a replication fork like this. This is the replication fork. You can see this looks like a fork. This is Y-shaped, but you can call it a fork, right? Other than that, you need to remember that helicase is the one that unwinds the DNA template at the replication fork over here, and the single-stranded binding proteins, they basically make sure that the strands are not reannealed, so they do not join together because of these single-stranded binding proteins. You need to remember this. And these particular sequences, they can get attacked by nucleases, so you need to know that this is prevented by single-stranded binding proteins. Other than that, we have topoisomerases, because these separated strands, they tend to coil like this. So for example, if this is coiled, how would DNA synthesis take place, right? So what they do is, for example, this is coiled, this particular thing is coiled. So what they do is they either create a single strand break like this. So in that case, let me tell you. Okay, let me draw a double strand. So this is, for example, supercoiled, right? So this is a single strand break. For example, this will uncoil from here, and the other one, which is DNA topoisomerase 2, that creates a double strand break. So this double strand break is basically then repaired by DNA polymerase and primase. So the primase basically adds the RNA primer over here, and the DNA polymerase elongates the leading strand by adding nucleotides to the 3' end. You need to remember that. And whereas the DNA polymerase 1, when you're done with the replication, the end RNA primer has to be degraded, right? So when it has to be degraded, you need to remember that this is done by DNA polymerase 1. As soon as the DNA ligase is formed, you need to seal, right? You need to seal the strand again to make it functional. So this is done by ligase. SE at the end, so it seals. Then I would go over telomerase at the end. So if we go over again, we realize that there are origins of replication. There are multiple origins of replication when it comes to eukaryotes, and there is a Tata-rich sequence and AT-rich sequences specifically located upstream, and this is basically where the origin of replication occurs in bacteria. Then there is helicase, which unwinds the DNA, and there are single-stranded binding proteins that prevent the strand from reconnecting together. Then we have the DNA topoisomerases, which create a single or double-stranded break in the helix to add or remove supercoils as needed. And you need to know that sometimes you need to inhibit these enzymes, DNA topoisomerases. So for inhibiting topoisomerase 1, you give irinotecan or topotecan. So they've given a very good mnemonic that you think of it as TIC1, which is TIC1. So irinotecan or topotecan can be the ones that inhibit topoisomerase 1, and in prokaryotes, and for topoisomerase 2, we can give etopside and tenopside, both sides, right? Think of both sides and think of tenopside and etopside. Then you go over the DNA, the topoisomerase 2 that is known as DNA gyrase in prokaryotes, and topoisomerase 4 in prokaryotes, which is basically inhibited by fluoroquinolones such as our moxifloxacin and ciprofloxacin. So as far as primase is concerned, we initially said that we add a primer after creating a DNA, after creating a single strand or double stranded break, and then we use the DNA polymerase 3 to elongate the strand. Then what we do is that we use DNA polymerase 1 to degrade the RNA primer, and we use DNA ligase to catalyze the formation of phosphodiester bond. So for DNA polymerase 3, we need to remember that it has a 5' to 3' synthesis that I mentioned earlier, and it proves states with 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. So for example, you're moving from this direction to this direction. For example, A to B. So to cross check that you've covered every site, you need to know that you move from B to A. So the exonuclease activity is usually opposite to the synthetic activity. So this way, if the drugs blocking DNA replication, they have a modified 3' end. So when the exonuclease is reading, if there is a modified 3' end, it is unable to read. As well as there is prevention of addition of the next nucleotide, which is called chain termination. As far as telomerase is concerned, it is present in eukaryotes only, and it is a reverse transcriptase RNA dependent DNA polymerase that adds DNA to the 3' end of chromosomes to avoid the loss of genetic material with every duplication. So this is the sequence: telomerase, tags, greatness, and glory. So repeat after me. It's telomerase, tags, greatness, and glory. So this is the sequence. So if we go over the diagram just for the sake of it, what we do is basically the DNA ligase here unzips the strand. Then we have DNA polymerase 1 over here, which basically degrades the RNA primer. Then this is the origin of replication. There is the synthesis of the leading strand. We have DNA polymerase, which adds the RNA primer to it, and it synthesizes from the 5' to 3' direction. Besides that, at the replication fork, there is also helicase, which basically seals the strand, and these single-stranded binding proteins prevent renailing. And primase, basically what it does is that it makes the RNA primer for DNA polymerase 3 to initiate the replication. So the primer is synthesized by this primase. The DNA polymerase 3 acts on it, and it synthesizes the strand. So you need to remember these things. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comment section below. Good night.